Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a very important day because we have learned 360 degrees as it is in existence. Now, today we name the real source of suffering. There is a specific kind of suffering that no amount of therapy, no amount of achievement, and no amount of self-understanding has been able to touch. You have felt it, the person who has everything they worked for and still feels a persistent, sourceless unease. The person who repairs one relationship and finds the same friction appearing in the next. The problem keeps changing its costume. The suffering stays constant. This is not a psychological problem. It is a case of mistaken identity operating at the deepest level of the self. The world has spent an extraordinary amount attempting to address this through external means. And the result confirms the diagnosis is wrong, not the individual. Let's have a look at some examples. USA, 280 billion spent annually on mental health treatment. Treating the symptom, the cause is untouched. United Kingdom, antidepressant prescriptions reached 89 million in a single year, the most medicated generation in recorded history. Europe, depression costs EU economies 620 billion euro per year in lost productivity. The suffering has become an economic structure. Australia, 1 in 5 Australians experience a mental disorder every year, and it's rising annually. Solutions are not working. The rate is accelerating. Even one of my favorite country, Japan, hikikomori, social withdrawal, affects over 1 million people. Average age, 30s. Identity collapse wearing the costume of lifestyle. And globally, 1 billion people worldwide carry a diagnosed mental health condition, the largest epidemic in human history, misdiagnosed. 1 billion people, and the numbers keep climbing every year. Not despite the investment in solutions, but alongside it, this reveals something important. The treatment is addressing the wrong lab. You cannot fix a house by repainting the walls if the foundation is fractured. The fracture is this: the modern human being has no distinction between their vessel, consciousness, and their performed identity. They believe they are the character they are playing, and a character who forgets it is a character suffers everything the script demands, as if the suffering were real, permanent, and personal. It is none of those things. Let me explain the architecture behind the suffering. Every wisdom tradition that has endured long enough to reach us, from the oldest living spiritual architectures in India to the philosophical framework of ancient Greece, to the aboriginal understanding of consciousness in Australia, arrived at the same structural description of reality, not through agreement with each other, through independent observation of the same truth. The description is this: reality is a cosmic projection. Consciousness, your truest, deepest nature, is the screen on which the projection plays. What you call your life, your name, your history, your body, your fears, your ambitions, your relationships is the movie. Vivid, immersive, emotionally total, but a movie nonetheless, playing on a screen that has never, not even once, been damaged by anything it has shown. Now, I'm going to reveal the deepest secret, the secret that no one understands, no one discusses, which is probably non-existent in almost 90% of people's life. However, is the basic of existence, of the universe, of the humans. So here is the role in the cinema, in your existence. What is the screen? So pure consciousness is the screen. Your truest nature, untouched by everything that has ever played on it. It does not burn when the fire appears. It does not drown when the floods appears. It is the permanent ground beneath the impermanent shore. The movie. The movie is the universe, all of existence. The sights, the people, the events, the beauty, the chaos. An immersive projection of light and pattern, always changing, always beginning and ending, never as solid as it appears. And the costume, your performed identity, your name, your career, your status, body, your fears, opinions, but not you. The wardrobe assigned for this lifetime, worn at birth, released at death, mistaken by almost everyone for the self. And the actor, your individual soul, the animating spark that chose to step into this stage, in this body, in this era, for the lesson this particular role was designed to deliver. And the director is the organizing intelligence, the cosmic architecture that designs the scene, sequences, and the lessons, and also ensures that the soul encounters exactly what it needs, whether the actor understands it in the moment or not. Now, here is the architectural revelation that most people never reach. These five are not five separate things. They are one consciousness wearing five masks. The screen folded itself into the light, become the director, assumed the costume, entered the movie it was already projecting. The oldest wisdom on this planet calls this the cosmic game of hide and seek. The universal consciousness concealing itself inside its own creation for the precise purpose of the experience of discovery. Your consciousness is a mirror, the cosmic play. What you call your life is the projection on that mirror. The suffering begins the moment the mirror forgets it is the mirror, the moment it believes it is the reflection. This is not ancient poetry. This is the most precise description of human condition that exists. Every tradition that has achieved genuine liberation, regardless of the name it used, arrived at the single structural understanding: the suffering is not in the life. The suffering is in the misidentification. The correction is not a retreat from life. The great misunderstanding of this framework is that recognizing the movie means withdrawing from it. The actor does not leave the stage because he has remembered he is an actor. He plays the role more precisely, with more freedom and less fear, because he knows when the director calls cut, he walks out of the costume intact. The correction is an internal architectural shift, and it is applied through three precise operations. First, the witness quotient. When anxiety arrives, when the pressure of the role becomes crushing, ask one question with complete sincerity. Who is the one noticing this feeling? Not to escape the feeling, to locate the noticer. The noticer is always the screen. The feeling is always the movie. In the moment you can locate the noticer, you have separated the consciousness from the content. The suffering does not disappear immediately. It loses its permanence, however. It becomes something happening, not something you are. Second, the costume audit. Once per day, and this requires honesty. Identify which of your current fears, opinions, your identities belong to your vessel consciousness, and which belong to your performed identity. The career anxiety, the status concern, the need for a specific personal approval, these are costume problems. The screen has no career. The screen needs no approval. The screen has never been diminished by a single thing it has shown. Audit the costume regularly. Do not let it convince you it is the skin. Third, the role distinction. When something is taken from you, a relationship, a position, a possession, a plan, before the grief fully arrives, ask, was this mine, or was this a prop assigned for this scene? This is not emotional suppression. This is cosmic accuracy. Some losses belong to the soul's curriculum and must be fully felt. Others are costume adjustments that the mind has catastrophized into existential threat. The distinction between the two, made clearly, is the difference between process and spiraling. The actor who forgets he is acting will have a breakdown on the stage that no one in the audience can fix, because the cause is not in the performance, it is in the forgetting. The entire world can applaud. The applause makes no difference. He needs not more validation. He needs the one moment of remembering that his name is not Hamlet. This is the entire operation. You are not the fire on the screen. You are not the flood. You are not the role that is currently under pressure. You are the consciousness watching all of it. And consciousness, your screen, has never once been damaged by anything it has witnessed. So now let me give you the grand architecture, what this also means beyond the individual. Now, take this beyond the individual, because the misidentification operating inside one person is simultaneously operating inside every institution, every government, every culture that person inhabits. A civilization that confuses its performed identity for its vessel, consciousness, builds structures of accumulation, wealth, power, military, cultural dominance, and calls that progress. It defends the costume as if the costume were sacred. It goes to war to protect arrangements that are, from the deepest architectural view, prop of the screen. History is, in large part, the record of costumes fighting over a stage. And those civilizations do not end because they are defeated. They end because the screen beneath them, which was always trying to show them something, ran out of ways to get through the noise of the performance. A world of individuals who have made even a partial distinction between their screen and their costume would not stop building. It would stop destroying what it built. It would not stop competing. It would stop confusing competition with warfare. It would not become passive, it would become precise. Every action grounded in vessel consciousness rather than performed identity produces differently, it produces things that last. This is the deeper reason of 0600 protocol exists. Not to make you more productive, not to optimize your mornings, to return you every single day before the world begins its demands. To the awareness that you are the screen, not the movie. That your 360 contains your real universe. That everything beyond it is a director's architecture, not your emergency. The 1 billion people carrying diagnosed mental condition are not broken. They are over-identified with a role in a movie they did not write and cannot edit. The prescription is not a pill. The prescription is the oldest piece of self-knowledge available to a human being, and it has never required a laboratory to verify. So let's conclude today's video. Every wound that has been given a name, every fear that felt permanent, every identity you defended so hard you forgot it was a costume, none of it damaged the screen. You were not the character who was suffering. You were always the consciousness watching the character suffer. The screen that showed the storm was never the storm. The mirror that reflected the chaos was never a chaos. This is not a comfort. This is the structural fact about what you are, what I am. And the moment we briefly locate it, even imperfectly, the suffering loses its only real power over you, the power of mistaken identity. Tonight, before you sleep, take one thing that is currently troubling you, one specific thing, and ask with the complete honesty, is this trouble happening to my screen, or is it happening to my costume? Write the answer, one line. That distinction, practiced daily, is the correction that 1 billion prescriptions have not been able to make. This is not an advice. This is the code. See you at sunrise.